Alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. This is audiobook The Right Way, a summary translation by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, birth and education. Ahmed bin Abdul Halim bin Abdul Salam bin Taymiyyah was born in the town Haran, Turkey, in 661 Hijri, or 1263 CE. His father was a leading scholar of Hanbali school of Islamic law, and so were his uncle and grandfather. When Ibn Taymiyyah was 7 years old, his family members left their native place and took refuge in Damascus before the Mongolian invasion came. Endowed with a penetrating intellect and wonderful memory, Ibn Taymiyyah mastered the various disciplines of Islamic study at an early age and read extensively the books of the various sects and religions in existence at that time. The number of his teachers exceeded 200. Shamsuddin al-Maqdisi, first Hanbali Chief Justice of Syria, was among them. Ibn Taymiyyah was barely 17 when the Chief Justice authorized him to issue fatwa. At the same age, he started delivering lectures. When he was 30, he was offered the office of Chief Justice, which he refused. Mujtahid, although Ibn Taymiyyah's education was essentially that of Hanbali, theologian, and jurist, he was equally conversant with the other sources of Islamic law. He also was familiar with the heresy of graphical literature, in particular of philosophy and Sufism. He was undoubtedly an original thinker and mujtahid. Much of Ibn Taymiyyah's time and effort was spent defending the orthodox Islamic position against the tidal wave of deviation which had swept over the Muslim nation. In all his writings and reformative efforts, he accepted the Quran and Sunnah as the basic criteria. In matters where there was no clear guidance from the Quran and Sunnah, he ventured into rational thought and took the path of ijtihad. Mujaddid Ibn Taymiyyah was a great reformer who relentlessly fought against the heretic beliefs and innovative practices that have crept into the body of Islam. He endeavored to revive the religion of Islam in its pristine purity and revolutionary spirit. His approach was naturally twofold: to bring about a revolution against shirk and innovations, bid'ah, and to emphasize the concept of tawheed with all its implications. In this effort, he had to encounter with those who upheld Greek philosophy and the Sufi masters who maintained the ideas of pantheism, Gnosticism, and asceticism. He attacked the Jahmiya and Jabariya, the determinists who denied man's freedom and choice and responsibility, as well as the Qadariya and Mu'tazila, the rationalists who denied predestination. As a result, he faced many difficulties from both the prominent sectarian scholars of his time and from the authorities who supported them. His clashes with them led to his imprisonment on numerous occasions. Mujahid Ibn Taymiyyah fought not only against the internal enemies of Islam but also against his external enemies by both his fatwas, Islamic legal rulings, and his physical participation in battles. When the Mongols invaded Syria, he flung himself into the stream of affairs and exhorted people to jihad against the Mongols after pitched a battle at Shakhab in which Ibn Taymiyyah fought bravely. The Syro-Egyptian army emerged victorious. Apart from this, he took part in some other expeditions also. His fame as a scholar and a brave fighter eventually made more scholars jealous of him. His opponents dug up on hold a fatwa related to a tomb visit given by him 17 years before and read it provocatively. A great dispute arose, and Ibn Taymiyyah was imprisoned in 1326 CE. He died in 1328 while in prison in Damascus. Ibn Taymiyyah's disciples spread from Syria to Egypt, some of them scattered to very far off places. They preached and developed this intellectual heritage and shared their massive persecutions. The most famous of them were Imam Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, Ibn Abdul Hadi, Ibn Kathir, Hafiz al-Dhahabi, al-Mizzi, Muhammad bin al-Muflih, Abu Hafs al-Bazzar, Ibn al-Wardi, and Qadi ibn Fadlula. His impact in Ibn Taymiyyah created a climate of rational thinking both through his ideas and his reformist endeavors, whose impact was felt not only in his own time, but ever since. In his lifetime, people were divided either into those who were strong opponents or strong supporters who didn't agree with him, or uncommitted, those who agreed with some views and disagreed with others. Teymiya left behind a large number of books and disciplines. His opponents soon sank into anonymity, while the value of and appreciation of his works has increased. In his own lifetime, Ibn Taymiyyah's fame and influence extend beyond the boundaries of Egypt and Syria. When he was impressed for the last time in the citadel of Damascus, many letters came from the inhabitants of Baghdad, protesting against his arrest and demanding his release. When he died, funeral prayers in absentia were performed even as China. Almost all historians have recognized his deep impact on the most prominent reformer of the 18th century, Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, 1792. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Blessed be upon His Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The seal of Messenger and his household and his pure companions, chapter. The unbelievers' religious festivals. Numerous are the religious festivals and fairs of the unbelievers. Muslims need not know in full about these. They should know only this much, that such and such days are considered holy by the unbelievers. They should at least realize that the religious festivals and fairs celebrated by the unbelievers are the ones which are not prescribed by Islam. Rather, the unbelievers have invented those. Were someone to celebrate this, it betrays either innovation on their part or their borrowing from the unbelievers. Hence, these are to be treated as innovation. What follows is a discussion of certain innovation in which many are found engrossed. One of these Easter, at the conclusion of the Lent, the Christians celebrated in commemoration of the super sent down of Jesus' disciples. Many misdeeds are committed in this festival. For example, a woman appearing in public, burning incense at graves, spreading clothes of roofs, writing and pasting papers at doors, and selling and burning these as an act of worship. The burning incense is a religious practice of Christian Sabbaeans. It has nothing to do with Muslims. This particular incense is similar to musk. It is inhaled, like other perfumes. Its use is permissible. However, it cannot be taken as part of worship. Other rituals performed at Easter, for example, preparing sweet dish, frying, coloring eggs, gambling, or selling colored eggs to gamblers, are acts of innovation. Likewise, putting a red cross on the cattle or a trees by farmers or at Easter, collecting particular types of clothes and seeking blessings from the east, when collecting olive leaves and taking bath from its water, abandoning the household chores, closing down shops and educational institutions, and celebrating the day by declaring it as a public holiday are acts of innovation. The general rule, the shared rule, is that the Muslims should not do any particular things on the religious festivals of unbelievers which they do not normally do in other days. Rather, they should treat these days like any other ordinary day. The Prophet ﷺ had prohibited his companions from sports and joins on two particular days on which the pre-Islamic Arabs used to hold sports. Likewise, he forbade them to sacrifice their animals at the places where the polytheists used to celebrate their festivals. The unbelievers celebrate with much pomp and show a festival on 25th of December in the belief that it is the birthday of Jesus. The rituals associated with the Christmas, for example, lighting fire, preparing sweet dishes, etc., are undesirable. It is an act of faith with Christians that is a holiday. This view does not have any basis in Islam. This festival is not reported in the days of our pious precedents. On later days, Muslims appear to have borrowed it from Christians. Christians celebrate another religious festival in memory of Jesus' baptism. In imitating them, some ignorant Muslims, women take their children to public baths and believe it is especially good for children. It is a Christian belief and Muslims are forbidden not to entertain it. The same holds true for Persian festivals of Nowruz and other festivals of unbelievers. Innovated festivals and fairs. To the same category belong all such festivals and fairs which have been innovated. All of them are evil and undesirable. Muslims are prohibited from joining these religious festivals of the people of the book and other unbelievers on two grounds. First, it represents a resemblance to the unbelievers And secondly, these are acts of innovations on such festivals at fairs which have come into vogue as a result of innovation are to be treated in the same way, whether these resembles the practice of the unbelievers or not. A compact rule: all these fall under the category of innovation, as is evident from the Jabir's report cited by Muslim that the Prophet ﷺ used to deliver his sermon with this opening. فأما بعد فإن خير حديث كتاب الله وخير هدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل بدعة شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل بدعة ضلالة. The best word is the book of Allah, and the best way is the of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The word is innovation, and each innovation is error. This addition remark in the same narration that وكل ضلالة في النار, and each error leads to hell. On the authority of Aisha, it's reported in Sahih Bukhari that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد. Whoever does an act which is not in agreement with our faith, such as an act, is rejected. There's another report of similar report, من أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد. Whoever invents something in our faith which does not originally exist has nothing to do with us. According to the Arbad ibn Sariyah, the Prophet ﷺ said, إنه من يعيش منكم بعدي فسيرى اختلافا كثيرا فعليكم بالسنة والسنة الخلفاء الراشدين من بعدي تمسكوا بها وغضوا عليها نواجذ وإياكم والمحدثات الأمور فإن كل بدعة ضلالة. Whoever me would observe many differences. However, you should follow my sunnah and that of my rightly guided caliphs. Adhere to it firmly. Beware, avoid innovation, for each innovation constitutes error. This lays down a compact rule derived from the Sunnah and consensus of the Ummah, and above all, the Quran says, أم لهم شركاء شرعوا لهم من الدين ما لم يؤذن به الله, or they have partners with Allah who have instituted for them a religion which Allah has not allowed. Shura, chapter 42, verse 21. Fabricated religion: one who considers something not prescribed by Allah as the one which would bring him closer to Allah, or invites others to it, or it presents it as something obligatory by his words or deed, he is guilty of fabricating a religion which is not sanctioned by Allah. If someone is following such a person, he takes him as Allah's partner, who is guilty of inventing a new faith in contravention of divine command. If the one who invents in something does so out of genuine and misunderstanding, he will be forgiven. This, however, is subject to the condition that his interpretation should be related to something in which a lapse may be forgiven. Rather, one would be rewarded for his interpretation. However, no one is allowed to follow him in something of which the flaw is manifest. Allah says, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا إلها واحدا لا إله إلا هو سبحانه عما يشركون. They took their rabbis and their monks to be their lords besides Allah, and Jesus son of Mary, while they were commanded to worship none but Allah, praise and glory to be Him, from having the parts that they associate. Tawbah, verse 31. On hearing this verse, Adi ibn Hatim said to the Prophet, قال عدي بن حاتم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يا رسول الله ما عبدهم قال ما عبدهم ولكن أحلوا لهم حرام وطاعوهم وحرموا عليهم الحلال فأطاعوهم. The people book did not worship their rabbis or monks. The Prophet said, they certainly did. The rabbis and monks held forbidden things as lawful and lawful things as unlawful, and their followers obeyed them, and by doing so they really worshipped them. Narrated by Tirmidhi and Muslim Ahmad. So if one yields to someone's interference in matters of faith, he stands condemned. One may be forgiven or even rewarded for his own interpretation. And in this case, he does not stand condemned, for there is not a very strong case against him. However, one does not revert to follow the truth even after it has become manifest to him, out of his stubbornness or lethargy, or any reason in that he does not look for the truth at all, he would be punished.